Let's go to the waiver wire. This upcoming week, Brooklyn has just 2 games. You'll probably still start Durant. You'll probably still start Kyrie, but it might not be a Ben Simmons week, and Nick Claxton in some shallower leagues might not be.
Claxton's had some monster blocks lately, though.
I know. It's you probably still start him. But there are 13 teams with 4 games. My available in 50% of league suggestion, Daniel Gafford of the Wizards, who is 37% rostered in Yahoo, 8% in ESPN. I had him in our keeper league, and then he was playing like garbage, so I dropped him. And of course, now he's playing well. His role fluctuated to start the year, but now he and Porzingis play in the front court together. Over the last 8 games, which are all starts, he's averaging 11.5 points on 75% shooting from the field, 6.5 boards, 1.5 blocks, 1.3 assists. Porzingis will also get hurt eventually. This is all sort of standard stuff we've seen from Gafford over the past couple of years when he gets the minutes, and I think he should probably be rostered as long as he continues to be in this role.
Porzingis can bang inside, but good to have Gafford get more minutes.
Yeah, Gafford's solid pickup. There's really not much more to say. It's just surprising that this team, it took a Porzingis injury. Porzingis sat a game, and they didn't start Gafford. Eventually, they moved him in the starting lineup the next time Porzingis missed a game, and he's stuck since then. And it's encouraging to see that he's been able to run off this many consecutive starts, 8 starts in a row now. And I'm pretty comfortable with his value. I think he's a 12-teamer without a doubt.
This team is 5 games under 500. Play Gafford. Play him.
Who's your suggestion, Ken?
We're going to go to OKC, where we spent a lot of free agent time this year, and I'm recommending the rookie, Jalen Williams, the one picked 12th. He's managed in 52% of Yahoo leagues, only 12% of ESPN. The guy's a steals machine. He's got 11 steals over the last 3 games. OKC has 4 games next week. They're starting Williams at power forward because, remember, no Pokashevsky, probably out for the year. And you got to like Williams' pedigree. Number 12 pick. He could get crazy minutes when the Thunder go into wobble for Wemby mode. So I like Jalen Williams and his upside with the OKC Thunder.
I was just going to quickly say he needs to improve his three-pointer a little bit, but he's pretty good. He's great attacking the rim and in that floater range.
Yeah, I love his skill set. I'm a believer in his long-term upside. The one question mark I have about Jalen Williams for the short-term fantasy value is just the fact that his big games have all come with SGA sitting. He's averaged 10 more fantasy points per game in the 3 games that he's played without SGA. So that's just something to watch, which is one of the games from this week. It was without SGA.
Yep.
I think he's absolutely worth picking up in 12 teamers, deeper 10 teamers. That's the case as well. But if your 10 team league's only going 100 players deep, he might still be on the outside.
Yeah. I mean, how many times is SGA or Josh Giddey going to sit the second half of this year? When
right. I agree.
OKC's not playing for anything there. Yeah, we'll see. But anyway, that's my pick. Shannon, who do you have as your available in 50% of leagues a recommendation?
I don't have an exciting young name like Jalen Williams, unfortunately, and that pains me. But I'm going to go with DeAndre Hunter, the Atlanta Hawks. DeAndre returned after a pretty, he had 2 significant absences.
Wait, Hunter was injured?
He missed a handful of games twice. Yeah. That happens with him sometimes. But he is back, and he has looked great after his latest 3-game absence. He's returned, and in the past 2 games, 37 minutes per, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 block. We know what DeAndre Hunter is. We know what type of production he's going to provide. He's doing a little bit better right now because the Hawks front court is missing Clint Capella. But I believe in Hunter as a solid 12-14 team, fantasy value, 52% rostered on Yahoo, only 16% rostered on ESPN. He's a guy who you'll probably rotate off your roster in a couple weeks once his production dies down some. but he does give you some short-term value and a little bit more upside than what he's usually at.
The AJ Griffin hype train has slowed down. The production has not been there lately from Griffin when Hunter
Yeah, and
was out.
they gave Hunter a big contract extension. So I mean they're very obligated to play him.
Regret. but
I mean,
too late.
I think he's better than the role that they're giving him, but
yes,
sort of trapped in that situation. But I agree with Shannon. He's going to continue to see 30, 35 minutes a game. No concerns about his workload, about his role. It can't really be lower than it is. He's rosterable as it is. So I like that. My long shot this week, which is so long that it's just minuscule. Cody Martin of the Charlotte Hornets. Yes, he exists. He's alive.
Not to be confused with his brother in Miami.
No, the other Martin. 2% rostered in Yahoo, 0.4% rostered in ESPN. This is for your 16-team leagues. So we have Martin just made his, I think it was a season debut, right? He was
his second appearance.
Second appearance.
1 minute in the season opener.
Yes, and then he suffered a knee injury and has been out since, except he just made his return. So we have Oubre out a month plus, and obviously Gordon Hayward is injury prone. Last year, Martin played 26 minutes a game and averaged about 8 points, 4 rebounds, 2.5 dimes, 1.7 stocks, ranked 169th per game. This past summer, they signed him to a fully guaranteed 4 years, $31 million contract, which isn't ridiculous money, but they committed to him and he played good amount of minutes last year. I just think like he's got to be more than 2% rostered at this point. I think people are just waiting on it. But with Oubre out, I think it's worth a gamble in like a 16-teamer.
Yeah, I'm on board. I'm on board with Cody Martin as well. You know, Jalen McDaniels can suggest him as a decent option and a good fill-in for Oubre. That's still the case. But last season, it was Martin who received those minutes. Martin was the guy getting more minutes than McDaniels. He was higher up in the rotation for the Hornets. We'll have to see if I don't think that'll be the case this season. But I still expect Martin, especially with Oubre out and Gordon Hayward's injury history and proneness, I would expect that Martin is going to be able to carve out 20 to 25 minutes per game this season.
Who's your long shot, Ken?
Well, before we get into that, let me just say, fans, if you like our video content, please hit like and subscribe below. My long shot, a familiar name on the waiver wire, NBA veteran Dennis Schroder for the Los Angeles Lakers. He's managed in 24% of Yahoo teams and 25% of ESPN squads. Over his last four games, 18.5 points and 4.5 assists. Now that included a 32-point outburst on Wednesday with LeBron James out. But how many times is LeBron James going to be out between now and the end of the season? We'll see. Schroeder's been starting for the Lakers since late November. Warning, the Lakers do have only 3 games next week. But there are not a lot of assist options on the waiver wire. If Schroeder can stick to 4.5, like he's done recently, that is very useful.
Yeah, solid pickup. His minutes and his production are picking up. Some of that's got to do with the Lakers being shorthanded right now because of injuries. But also, it's just I also think it's just a sign that Schroeder is rounding into form. And he started off really slow. He had a lot of rust, and they kind of eased him back in, even though he was almost immediately put in the starting lineup. After 3 games off the bench, he's been in the starting lineup ever since. So 21 straight starts for him. He's a solid option. And we, again, a veteran player who we know what he can do. He'll get you 12 points, 4.5 assists. So if there's value for you in your leagues at those levels, pick him up.
Shannon, who's your long shot of the week, sir?
Man, I thought I was boring with DeAndre Hunter. It gets even worse here. TJ Warren. I'll never be able to quit TJ Warren. And I like his fit with the Nets. I like that the way he's starting to play. He's starting to, after a lengthy absence to start the season, has started to shake off some rust and is really carving out a spot in the Nets rotation. Now this all comes with the caveat that on Tuesday, he left Tuesday's game against Chicago early with a rib injury. He's questionable for Friday night. Like Alex mentioned at the top of the segment, only 2 games for Brooklyn next week. So maybe you save this and pick him up next week. Prior to that rib injury, 6 games prior, Warren coming off the bench for the Nets, 25 minutes per, 12.8 points, 4.8 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1 3-pointer. And that was in the past 6 games before the injury. That's good for 25 fantasy points per game.
Ken, you have a pair of dull suggestions.
I have a pair of my dull suggestion of the week. Patrick Williams of the Bulls, who we've mentioned before. He's managed only 26% of Yahoo leagues. And Josh Richardson of the Spurs. Both players have 4 games next week. Williams is coming off of a 22-7 game. Big win the Bulls had over Brooklyn. So Patrick Williams is just steady Eddie, modest production that you enjoy over 4 games. We've talked about him earlier on this podcast. Josh Richardson, the veteran for the Spurs, that's really based on Vassell being out. Richardson, though, is questionable for tonight, so you may want to hold off to see if I forget what his injury issue is, see if that's okay. But I do think Richardson is going to have some big nights with Vassell out. Excellent in any kind of daily transaction lead where you can start him when Richardson's named a starter, because they're going to need some production in San Antonio down this morbid stretch for them.
Try RotoWire free. Go to rotowire.com/try and unlock the paywall by putting in your email.